What's up, folks? We are back with tape two live recording of whatever these things
We
are
call,
that we do.
we call it live to tape.
See, that's why you're the director. I'm the producer. That's Leroy. I'm Michael. This is the We Trying channel, Nerdy by Nature Production.
Sir, I am now a producer as well.
Oh, okay. Look at you with double
Yeah.
titles.
Well, I mean, I technically was a producer when we were at, but it wasn't my official title because they didn't
I
want to give me
mean,
no money. So,
when you're managing a comic book store, you're always producing stuff. So I get it. I
that's
knew
how,
it was
that's
in
how
you.
that's how we doing it. That's how we
Yeah,
doing it.
that's how we doing it. Yeah.
Okay.
Um,
All right.
yeah, we got a few interesting topics to talk about. Um, this will go
Did
up
you,
on September 13th,
did you
which is
post our
the
last video?
yeah. I
Okay.
just put it. I just put it up late, but I did post it because I forgot. I
Yeah, I noticed that.
was I watching was wrestling on.
I don't know. That's why I.
Something happened, and I didn't end up posting it. I didn't end up posting it until like 11 something. I was like, oh, I need to post this.
Yeah,
Now, to be fair, it was in the back end of YouTube, so you could have posted it.
I didn't see. I didn't know if there was a reason why, and I was like,
No, I
I didn't
just
know what was
forgot.
going on, and I was like, was
I
this
just
neat?
forgot.
I was like, but
Why?
then I
Why
was
you
like,
didn't ask?
well, I was busy.
Okay.
And I was like, I was like, if it was something I needed to know, you would have told me. I mean, I was like, but that might be the LTX in him. I was like, that he might have had an Avery
Wow.
moment. So
Okay. Cool.
I was like,
Fantastic. Yeah. But yeah, this is going up on the 13th, which is the 40th anniversary of Super Mario Brothers in Japan. So happy 40, Mario. I just want to get that out there. But no, we are talking about difficulties in video games because the game that everybody wanted has
mhm.
been waiting on for years is finally out. Silk Song, Hollow Knight Silk Song, a
Which
sequel to Hollow
I,
Knight.
I I have to say, I didn't think it was coming out.
You
I
thought it
did.
was you thought it was forever
No, I
just
thought
going
it
to be
was
in
next year.
development.
I thought it was next year.
Oh, okay, okay, yeah.
Because remember when the Xbox ROG or whatever that Xbox
Hmm.
thing we watched, and they said they were playing it, and I was like, "Oh, that's vaporware for you people." I was like, "That's
Hmm.
next year,"
Hmm.
because everything gets pushed back. So I was like, "What's a few more months? What's another, you know?"
Yeah,
So yeah, so I,
yeah,
I was wrong. I can admit that.
yeah. But yeah, it's out. It's playable. Um,
Yep. Right now,
and
it is sitting at. Let's see. It has a. Hold on, where I'm trying to look right now. I'm on Steam looking at the. Uh, it is currently listed at $20. Uh, it
major
had
companies upset about that.
so what?
I said major. So major
What?
video companies are upset about that.
So we'll get it. So I'm sorry. I'm gonna let you go, and I'll chime in.
No. So there's been a conversation about the difficulty of the game. I
Mhm.
have not played Silk Song yet. It is on Game Pass, so I will play it eventually. I actually just started playing Hollow Knight for the first time ever, maybe 2 weeks ago, because I was like, let me play some of this. People of the fans of the show know neither Leroy nor myself are really into the difficult games for difficulty's sake. I'm too old to worry about a game being challenging like that. I just need a storyline, and I don't need all that. So I'm not really into the Elden Rings and the Bloodborns and the Dark Souls and all that stuff. And Hollow Knight is not necessarily in the same vein, but it can be somewhat difficult. It is known to be a difficult game, a difficult Metroidvania. So I kind of stayed away from it. But with all the hype about on Silk Song, I decided to come out and play it, and I'm enjoying it so far. I'm only maybe 15 hours in, but I've enjoyed what I played so far.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, people are kind of. Some people are upset, but I wouldn't say this is not the craziest thing I've seen about video games. People being divisive about. But some people are wondering, is the game too hard? The argument of get good is on there. People are going back and forth about whether or not Silk Song is too difficult.
So when you brought this up, I was um I knew it had dropped because it dropped September the 4th.
Hmm.
And I was aware that it was coming out because I had to eat crow. And right now on Steam, it is has very positive with 60,000, almost 61,000 reviews. It's showing very positive. People are posting thumbs up. It has not been review bombed like other games. I think it was Shadow of the Erdtree was review bombed, um, where people were upset by it. I don't play that game, so I'm not going to sit up here and say I know why it was review bombed, but I do know there was some controversy around that game. If you scroll on the Steam page, I have yet to come to a negative review. Well, hold on. Here's one. Uh, Gorfer Gra says not recommended. 29.3 hours on record. Um, the game is visually amazing. The world is super cool and the lore is interesting. However, while gameplay, in my opinion, is fine, difficulty wise for the most part, the amount of unnecessary tedium is not. Small but impactful issues hold the game back for me and often make the game feel less fun and challenging and more tedious and frustrating to actually play. This is I do not like the game review. This is I would recommend it to others review. I do enjoy the game most of the time anyway, but at the moment I would not recommend this to most people as I don't think they would have fun with it. Thus a negative recommendation for now. Will change to positive if things improve, like QOL changes, quality of life. Interesting that they put the Q and then this anyway. Quality of life changes, difficulty options, etc. If you love the more challenging parts of Hollow Knight, including the platforming and the Path of Pain and or PS5, then you'll probably like this game too. Same thing if Dark Souls 2 is your favorite Souls-like. If this is the case, this is not a review for you. But for those who are interested to see what all the hype is about, and if this is a game they would enjoy, it is it is also a way for me to rant, complain, and cry about my issues with the game. Two birds, one stone. Okay, so I'm not gonna read all of it. You can go check it out. I like this review. I'm not gonna knock this guy or girl. I don't know what you identify as. This person. This is a thoughtful review, even though it's a not recommend. So let's back up and state the facts. Hollow Knight was a game that came out about 7 years ago. Was a indie game from Team Cherry. It built up its reputation as more and more people started to play it. It's in the same vein as a Metrovania, and it is a very, for the average gamer, it is a difficult game, correct?
I would assume so. Yeah. I mean, I'm having difficulty with it.
So this game is in a long line of, like you said, Souls like, but also there is, I wouldn't consider it a Souls like, I would consider it like a game Celeste, games of that variety. I've heard that Celeste is a very difficult game as well, but a very good game. When this came out, this game crashed three game stores: Xbox, um, the Xbox Game Store, the Nintendo Game Store, and the PlayStation Game Store. It crashed all three. This game coming out 7 years after the original, after that
Eight
game being
years. 8 years.
8 years. Oh, okay. I see six and I see seven. So, okay. This game has come out and it's a widely anticipated game, which means, excuse me, the hype for this game is intense. I would say this is one of the most anticipated, this is one of the top five most anticipated games of 2025 and 2026, correct?
Sure. Yeah.
With that being said, you have a multitude of people purchasing this game who either A, did not play Hollow Knight
Hmm.
and have no idea about the difficulty or what type of game this is, or B, forgot how hard that game was because they remember playing it because it was so long ago, picked this game up, and then was like, oh shit. So I think those are two components we need to consider. Also, watching some of the videos, because after you told me about it, I was like, oh, let me go check it out. There is some quality of life things like this reviewer said, Gorfear Gra said, that are challenging to players who play Hollow Knight. Gaming Bolt did a video. Game Ranks did a video on it, talking about there are things like bosses not dropping loot because you have to go through so much to beat these bosses, and for them not to drop loot is disappointing and makes the game more challenging. So you have that. Now there are mods, from what I understand, that have
For PC. Yep.
for PC. But if you are playing on those other platforms, you are SOL. So I think those things need to be stated when we talk about this discourse of how is this game hard and is it too hard? Because I think those are all things to be considered. Because you and I didn't like that assertion. Like I felt some kind of way. You were like, we don't play hard games, and I was like, bitch, what?
But I
I was like,
mean,
and
I
then I was
stand by
like,
what I said. I told no lies.
and then I was like, I play hard games. I
What you
was like,
about to say?
so
What
here's what I
game?
do. Here's what I do.
Hmm.
I don't play the Dark Souls or the Souls like games. What I do is if I like a game and I go back to replay it, I will up the difficulty to until I can beat it on the most challenging difficulty for that game. So I've done that before. Like I've once I beat Dark Souls, not Dark Souls, Dead Space, beat it on normal, crank it up a level, then come back when I play it again, I crank it up another level.
Hmm.
So I've done that. So this assertion that I don't play challenging games, sir, that was a misnomer. That was a lie.
I stand by what I said.
I do play challenging games. Now
Okay.
I'm not going to sit here and lie and say that I play challenging. I'm up here playing Souls like and
Okay.
but no, I just I want to put that out there before we get into this conversation. So I'm gonna throw it back to you. So you tell me, because I didn't know about this conversation. What is your opinion about the conversation now that you've played it and you're coming into it on the outside looking in, so to speak? Because you don't have a decade invested in this game.
Yeah. I mean, I the stuff that I've read is interesting. A lot of people talk about some of the quality of life stuff in terms of stuff not dropping, the way Hornet moves in terms of when she does her downward attack at the beginning. Slight spoilers, but it's at the beginning. The way she does her downward attack compared to the Hollow Knight, the Hollow Knight's downward attack was just straight down, 90-degree angle
Mhm.
from the ground type of. Hornet attacks from a angle when she does her downward attack. Now you can change that later by getting different power ups, but stuff like that, people it kind of throws off the
Mhm.
way people are used to the movement.
Yeah.
Um, and another thing I've seen is people the way you upgrade your stuff in Silk Song is not as easy as it was for some people in Hollow Knight because you may have to go through a certain number of bosses before you're able to upgrade items. Whereas before, at least depending on how you play, you could kind of upgrade throughout the way on your way through bosses.
Now
Um,
let me ask you this:
mhm.
do you feel so? As you've been playing the game, you said so. You're playing Hollow Knight, right?
Mhm.
So, do you feel that game now? Granted, that game has over 10 years, almost little less than a decade of updates, tweaks from Team Cherry. Do you feel that game has done a good job of leveling the progression, or does it start off as like a punch in the mouth? Or like in other words, as you start, is the tutorial good to where you're like, okay, I'm playing. This is how you do this. This is how you do that. And do you feel like it prepared you for what you're going to get into, or do you feel like you didn't need that because you play games like Cuphead? Because that's another game that I think people think. I think people see the art style and are like, these are cutesy games. Oh, and then they play it and they're like, oh, it's almost like Prometheus. We were wrong. We were so wrong.
Yeah, I think the Hollow Knight does a good job of kind of preparing you with the tutorial. It kind of starts you off soft. are slowly in terms of the first enemies you face. Their attack patterns are pretty rudimentary. They're easy to follow. You're able to beat them, and it gradually ramps up in terms of the enemies that you face, whether it's your standard fodder enemy or your mini boss or even your bosses.
Okay.
Um, Now, granted, like I said, I'm only 15, 20 hours in, so I know it's going to get much harder. Um, I think the first real challenge I had was fighting the
Hold on.
Mantis Lords.
How long is well, I'm about to type it in. So you said you're 15, 20 minutes in.
20
Um,
hours.
20, sorry, 20 hours.
And I play games probably slower than other people, so I mean, I don't know where that is in relation to stuff.
Okay, so according to the AI overview, which I fucking hate that I'm using, but
So why would you use it?
I'm not. But it just I typed in Hollow Knight LinkedIn is the first thing that showed up. I'm anyway. Hollow Knight Link varies. The main story takes taking approximately 23 to 27 hours. The average player completion taking around 39 to 42 hours. Main story 20 to 27 hours. Main plus side 32 to 42. So I want to give that to people context to say you're 15 hours in. You normally play it slower. So would you say you're technically more or less like around 10, 8 to 10 hours to what other people?
Why are we doing math?
Only reason why I'm saying is because you say 15, and a lot of people who are watching this, the 17 people who will probably watch this,
Hmm.
um, shout out to Kay. Um,
Sure.
uh, Shout out to my nemesis. You know who you are. Um, but I want to give that context because there are a lot of people who probably don't know this, and they're like 10 to 15 hours. Well, you should be done. This is a
Hmm.
cutesy game. No, this game can take up to 50 hours to complete.
Sure. Yeah, no, yeah, I mean, maybe I'm 8 hours in. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't have a lot of the abilities unlocked, so I know there's way more in terms of locomotion, in terms of how the character moves that I still haven't gotten to, and upgrading, getting charms and everything. The story, I think I've had my first battle with Hornet. I haven't had a second battle with Hornet yet, so I know I'm still well early into the early stages of the game. Um, but I'm enjoying it. It's hard. Um,
Harder than Cuphead?
I mean, it's a difference.
I understand
I
it's a
feel like
different.
it's a different
Is
mindset for me because I won't say which one is harder. People who are more versed can figure that out. I feel like it's a different set of skills for me. There's definitely pattern recognition in both games, um,
and I will
but I
say this:
feel
you
like
are
the
very good
snaps
at
that
that.
are firing with that are different.
You're definitely a better person between the two of us at that pattern recognition. We've talked about this before
You
when
could
we
have just
talked.
stopped at better person, but keep going.
I will never admit to that. First
Okay,
of all, you are a
cool.
terrible person because you are on the is that left or right? For me, it's the left side, but for anyway, you are a terrible person because you have linked up with me, which makes you a terrible person by association. Um,
Fantastic.
I just finished watching We Own the Night on HBO again. I started it, and it's like so like the cops are bad, and but like how they picked up which cop, and they're like, yeah, but you used to work with him. And it's like, so you're dirty too. That's you. If I'm
Fantastic.
dirty, you're dirty too because you are associated with me. It's like known associates when they look at the rap sheet, they will be like Michael Patterson. Boom.
Wow. Jeez. Okay.
We need to investigate him too. Uh, so let me ask you this.
Hmm.
Let's go back to that statement you made about the $20 crack or the comment because I feel this is great. As a consumer, I feel like having a game this anticipated on the back end of a game that's almost a decade old and then releasing the new one at $20 is a game I don't want to say game changer, but is a great thing, especially in this economy.
Oh yeah, I think it's fantastic. Team Cherry, in the interviews that I've seen of them, they've seemed to be a great group of developers, a team.
Mhm.
Just like the fact that they said, and granted, maybe it might not be their work conditions may not work for everyone else, whoever who was doing whatever, but they were saying we didn't really have to worry about feeling the pressure of trying to get this game done
Ooh.
in a certain amount of time because they just worked on it and
Mhm.
just worked on it. There was no pressure for them to get it out because they wanted to make the game they wanted to make. Because the first game sold so well, they didn't feel the pressure that they had to get this game out until it was where they wanted it.
Oh, let me tell you, they did not rush,
No,
and
no.
I'm not mad at them for it.
I
So
do
here's
wonder
go ahead.
if because the game was probably made in a vacuum with I think it's three people on the team. I wonder if they got so good at the game that maybe their
They forgot how
difficulty.
hard this shit is.
I mean, it's possible they were like, it's easy to us, but to be fair, they've been working on it for nine, 7, 8 years. So
They were like, "You
I
bitches
wonder if
gotta
that's
step your game up."
yeah, I wonder if that's a possibility. They didn't think that. Oh, I mean, we got it.
I
Who
love
knows?
seeing these three people who were like Silk Song gods, who are like, and they're like, "Get your weight up, like son. What are you bitching about?"
Yeah,
And it's like, "Oh, we forgot this game is hard because we've mastered it and we built it." So like, that is funny, and I find that so. I found How Long to Beat. And right now, Hollow Knight sits at main story website howlongtobeat.com. Hollow Knight sits at 27 hours, main plus sides 41 and a half hours, completionist 64 and a half, all styles averages at 42. Um,
and this is Hollow Knight or
how
Hollow
to
Knight Silk Song,
Hollow Knight, the Hollow
the
Knight.
original. Okay, got it.
So Hollow Knight Silk Song they have rated at 23 hours for main story, main plus sides 32, completionist 51 and a half, all styles they average at 32. Um, I'm gonna ask you something. You tell me if you think this is far fetched, because I did see this. Now I say this knowing before you guys jump on us in the comments, they have released a patch
Hmm.
to change some of the quality of life, change the difficulty and stuff like that, which with still preserving hopefully the hard difficulty that they released. Do you believe this is a strategy to release the game at such a cheap price? Have the difficulty set here versus here. And that keeps people playing the game and not finishing because we do have this culture of you get something, gorging yourself on it, and then being like, okay, what's next? And you have this entire conversation of, so when's the next one coming out?
Are you asking me? Was there like a? They said we're going to make the game super hard so people don't beat it as fast.
Yeah. And not only don't beat it as fast, it keeps them playing because your your marketing your core audience and something I've learned and something we probably need to do when you make something, you're not making it for everybody.
Hmm.
You're making it for the people who need this thing or who want this thing. And then the people who want or need this thing, your core customers, will then go out and be acolytes for your thing. And then those people bring in more people to this thing, a la Hollow Knight. Hollow Knight wasn't a runaway success. It built up a fan base. People started playing it, realized how good it was. Team Cherry gave updates, gave DLC, and then it became this game, this juggernaut that people were like, "This is a standard. This is a gold star game." Did Team Cherry, the three of them, sit around and think we need to top our last game, which means make it at just as hard, if not harder? Our core fans will continue to play it so that they can beat it. Because again, this still has close to 61,000 positive reviews.
Hmm.
Do you,
No, I don't. To go
I,
to your overall thought, I don't think there was a thought of we'll make it super hard to keep people playing because I think the anticipation has been so much that even if people were to beat it in record time, they would. You have communities like the speedrunning community that will play a game forever and ever, even they beat it to try and
yeah,
work on their time or whatever. I think those communities are so strong and so ingrained they would continue to play the game whether it was super hard or not.
I'm
Um,
looking to see how many Silk Song speedrunners we have. Speedrun
I don't know.
videos. Continue. I'm on. I'm going through my computer right, my television right now.
Yeah, I don't know if there are like a lot of speedrunners on it yet, but I think they're gonna come. Like I imagine there'll be speedrunners for like there's speedrunners for Ori and the Blind Forest, Ori and the Will of the Wisp, and there's speedrunners for Hollow Knight, all those type of games. Um, I think it's more. I think it goes more back to the that making that game in that vacuum. Maybe they don't know how hard the game is,
Mhm.
and the fact that they did release a patch to make it somewhat easier in some places isn't a concession, but just I think it's them opening it up to let more people play the game. Like, hey, we want more people to access this because one thing that we didn't talk about, and that's because neither of us have played the game to completion, is not only is Hollow Knight hard, but people also love it because of the lore and the story it
Oh
tells.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, and as somebody who hasn't beaten it, I've watched a couple of videos like, oh, this is a wild story if you really get into it and get
Oh
all the
yeah.
endings. Like, this is crazy deep, and it's
Because
cool how they came up with it.
correct me if I'm wrong. Hold on, I got to sneeze. Uh, correct me if I'm wrong. You can't get the actual true ending the first time you play it.
I I'm not qualified to. I don't know.
Okay,
I
I
probably not, but I don't know.
okay,
That sounds right.
but no, I find it interesting. Now, this is the thing, and something that I so when you texted me this, the next day I went to Charleston on a scout with two people who were younger than me. I want to say one was in their 30s and the other person was in their 20s. One was a woman, one was a guy. And we were talking about it. And I asked them, had they played it? What, and one of the things that we talked about was, yes, the game is hard. And is this a situation where people are just bitching the bitch? But also, who is actually complaining about the game? And is this a situation where, because you and I cut our teeth, I come by the time you're watching this Saturday, Sunday, I will be 48. We cut our teeth on the. That's for you. Um, because I saw you shaking your head. You know I can see you, right?
Oh,
Um,
I thought I was doing my Kevin Hart thing with
no.
dang.
Well, we came up with platformers. We came up with the Ninja Turtles game, Lion King, beat 'em ups, platformers. Um, is this a situation where we have a generation of gamers who are jumping into gaming? Because this came from the people who are younger than me. They were of the mindset, shout out to Andy and shout out to Isabel. They were of the mindset, and I'm trying to get it right, that we do have a generation of gamers who have just jumped into gaming without the requisite knowledge to understand that game is hard. You think it's easy because it's cute looking. And there's not a there is a and there are some gamers who do not have a foundational history of gaming to understand just because it looks this way doesn't mean it's not hard.
That's
I,
interesting. I don't
I,
know. I wouldn't disagree with it. I would need more data to. I think that's an interesting idea because I
yeah,
think you do have a lot of gamers that are playing a game like Minecraft, and I don't know the difficulty of Minecraft, but I feel pretty confident to say it's probably not as hard as Hollow Knight or Silksong. But you have a generation of people who have played Minecraft who may want to try something like a Silksong because it isn't as intense. It's not as graphically intense as something like as a Call of Duty or whatever, and it has a simplistic, not simplistic, but the
it is a cutesy. It has a calming, soft, artistic look versus a Souls like or like
yeah,
Mortal Shell or
yeah,
like because we watched what was the last big gaming uh Gamescom,
Gamescom, yeah,
and then before Gamescom there was a State of Play and there was a Xbox whatever, and we looked at some of those trailers, and Mortal Shell 2 looked like the stuff of nightmares. So
hmm
as you're playing that, you understand that that game is going to have a level of difficulty because it's more of an adult game. This
hmm
looks like something my kids could play.
Sure.
And if you're new to the channel, my children are pocket monsters. They're tiny, they're small, they're cute, but they're destructive. Um, so it looks like something that they could play versus a, a Demon Souls or a Dark Souls or a Souls like game. Um, so I do wonder, they posited that and said that may be part of it because when you look at the criticism of this game being too hard, you don't know, you don't have the context of the person who is making these claims.
Hmm.
You don't know if this person, this is their first game, this is their third game. Like
Sure.
they're used to playing Minecraft or Roblox. They, or they're used to playing. Let's be honest. If you play a Call of Duty or shooters in lobbies with different people or Helldivers 2, there is a different skill set to playing those games versus the pattern recognition and timing of a Cuphead or a Silk Song.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, I'd agree with that. Um, yeah. So in conclusion, I guess get good.
Now, here's the thing:
Hmm.
has and I'll leave on this. Has the community had that opinion where, when we saw the Demon Souls and Dark Souls games show up, we did have a community who was like, "Get step your game up, get better." However, when you see Helldivers 2 and you hear about that community, they have been more the Helldivers 2 community. From what I've seen, I have not played it. I do want to play Helldivers 2. That the more senior players have been very accommodating to newer players. Have you seen that from the Silk Song community where there isn't a lot of you need to get better, you suck, like this backlash when people complain that it is hard? You have this community who has stepped up and said, get better or giving tips.
I am not in the community to know, so I don't know.
That sounds like a deficiency on your part, sir.
I mean,
Should, should
again, I'm just now playing Hollow Knight, so I mean, I don't know what's happening in the Silk Song community.
okay, okay.
I will say this as somebody who doesn't know or isn't in it, ingrained in it or whatever, entrenched in it.
Hold on.
Um,
Somebody clip that and have somebody say, when Michael says, I don't know, clip that and send it to me. I'm on threads. Send it to the Facebook.
mhm.
Yeah, just make sure that I have that so I can use that. I want to insert that in different places in my life. So when Michael says something, I can just play. I don't know. Continue.
Great, fantastic. But I don't know. I keep saying that now. Now you got me stuck in a loop. Um,
Thank
what
you for
I
saying it again. That was very clear.
Yes, what I do know is
I'm gonna use that one too.
fantastic. What I do know is I think we're not going to have an answer to this for a while because again, the game's only been out. It came out the fourth, so it's eight
Yeah,
days.
yeah. This is
I
the,
I
we're
think
recording
that's
this on the
another
12th. It's
thing.
coming out
Yeah,
on the 13th.
I think that's another thing to consider is the game's only been out for less
A
than
week.
it's been out for a week. I think we need more time to figure out what that equilibrium is going to be.
Yeah.
Are people going to adjust to this patch and be like, oh, this is what I needed now in the game is whatever? Because I don't remember what the conversation was originally when Hollow Knight came out. Um,
It wasn't this. You know why? Because the people who discovered it found it and then like, oh, this is cool, and then got good at it. And because back to your point, there was an anticipation for this game. There's almost a decade built up to get to this.
mhm.
Whereas Hollow Knight was something that was found. It's almost like when you find a quarter. And you're like, oh, a quarter. Versus now you found $20.
Mhm.
I think that's the difference in the anticipation.
Okay, fair enough.
So,
Do you think, as we're talking about this,
uh-huh.
do you think the difficulty of this game is going to hinder or help the talk of this being game of the year?
Oh, I did not consider that.
And I'm
F you.
only thinking that because
F you. Oh, I did.
Polygon
Oh,
has an article about it. They're wondering if the difficulty would hinder this or help it against like Clear
that's a
Obscure 33.
that's a very good question. Oh, F you. Oh, I got to get better at being a producer. I did not expect that question. I did. Oh, bravo, sir.
Fantastic.
That's why you work in that shitty station in Charlotte. I'm calling all news stations. It's not just CNC. Trust me, I would love that. That was one of my dreams to work at Charlotte and CNC. I'm just calling all news stations shitty, so it's not a knock on you. I'm just coming for news because I've been watching a lot of news coverage lately, and I'm like, good lord, it is not as good as it used to be. But that's a very good question. I don't know. Uh, man, I gotta. You really, I gotta think about that one because so let's look at it. Claire Obscura would be one for Game of the Year. We don't know about Ghost of Yote. Um, what's another one you would think? Um,
Uh, pro,
Song.
Silk Song, probably Blueprints. There was a lot of buzz for that early, if it can carry. But I mean,
We
when it
did
came out,
we
it
did
was
talk
a
about that
lot
one.
of critical praise for that game. Um, I would say, I mean, between my two game of the years, there would probably be Blueprints and Claire Obscure 33. A lot of people like Donkey Kong Bonanza. I'm enjoying it. I don't think I like it as much as Super Mario Odyssey, but a lot of
It's
people like.
interesting you didn't say Super Mario Odyssey or not
Wait, I
Super Mario
wouldn't say
Odyssey, not
Donkey
Super.
Kong Bonanza.
No. Mario Kart. It's shocking that you didn't say Mario Kart,
Well,
considering
why?
the fan. The, let me finish. Considering the fanfare, and Nintendo pushed it at $80, and it was a launch title. I'm, which leads back to that whole idea or this whole question when I asked when it first came out, is this worth $80? And everybody was like, not really, but Nintendo can get away with it.
Yeah, their game of the year contender is not Mario Kart World. It's Donkey Kong Bonanza for sure.
Okay, that's a very good question. I don't know.
Yeah.
So we're about 30 minutes in.
Hmm.
Um, so the second story that I thought was interesting was a report from the Wall Street Journal that the Larry Ellison backed Skydance Paramount company that just got approved to be merged, or Skydance to buy Paramount, is looking to buy something else. A very big buy. The Larry Ellison backed company is looking to buy Warner Brothers Discovery. And that hit for those of us in the media and who track this stuff as a bombshell because he wants to th- because let's back up. In June of 2025, Warner Brothers Discovery announced plans to split the company into two separate companies.
Hmm.
Warner Brothers and a global networks focused Discovery Global. Those two companies, Discovery Global would take the debt and would be the cable channels, where the movie studio and the streaming would be under Warner Brothers. Larry Ellison says, F all that. I want it all. He's not waiting for it to split up. He thinks he can get a deal buying that shit right now.
Hmm.
He cannot. So that's what the Wall Street Journal is reporting. I think this is huge. And a lot of people think this is huge, but this is flying below the radar because of the current news cycle that we're in, and the Skydance Paramount deal is hogging all of the media attention based on the things that are happening at CBS. The CBS was considered the Tiffany of news divisions, and they seem to be moving in a different direction. Barry Weiss is in talks of taking over some of the news. Rick Weinstein, I believe his name is, who's been tied to a lot of right wing groups, has been hired on as an ombudsman to check CBS's news. And there seems to be some that has gobbled up the news cycle. Also, David Zaslav has made statements that HBO Max could raise in price. And they just raised that in mother father to 16.99. So I say all that to say, when I you heard this, what was your first initial thoughts?
I mean, I think in the current climate that we live in, and not talking about political climate, just corporation climate that we live in, I think more and more things are going to get bought up by other places. So I think there's going to be less regulation, so more people can merge and acquire. So we have more and more mega corporations. Um, I think it sucks. I think having these different companies, one promotes creativity. It in a perfect world, it would promote fair play and people trying to outdo each other. But with everybody buying everything, you don't really have these corporate checks and these balances to stop people from doing whatever they want with companies. Um, I I think somebody else does need to run Warner Brothers Discovery because David Zaslav, he ain't doing it. It ain't it. Um,
You heard it here
now,
first. Michael
yeah,
Patterson, David Zaslav, not friend of the show. However, if you would like to come on, we would
yeah,
definitely have you. The door is always open. Michael said you are not running things well enough, and a change needs to happen. I've
yeah.
said I'm on the record of saying you should have been fired a long time ago, and you were terrible. However, if you're
But
willing,
also, here's the thing. Say what?
if you're willing to hire us,
Yeah,
these Negroes will come
yeah.
work at Warner
Also,
Brothers.
saying that Warner Brothers was having problems before David Zaslav took over.
Facts.
So I
No kidding.
mean,
That's what
yeah,
the kid.
it is.
No
It is. David Zaslav is not doing a good job, but Warner Brothers has been circling the drain for a while before he took over.
Well,
Um,
part of that was because they made that AT&T deal.
yeah.
And remember, and here's the other thing, which here's a little context to the AT&T Warner Brothers deal. AT&T bought Warner Brothers because they thought they would be able to have a streaming service attached to the technology because they were at the time fighting net neutrality. The idea that they could throttle other streaming services on their platform, but then also have a streaming service that was, you finish the statement.
Hmm.
So that idea was, if we get rid of net neutrality, we can temper the speed of internet and then have our own streaming services be full on. Well, AT&T discovered it is very expensive to run a content business on top of a technology business, and they bit off more than they can chew. It is, that deal is now, if you look it up, and this is not me saying it, one of the worst deals of all time. The AT&T Warner Brothers deal, or and so, and that deal, when AT&T and Warner Brothers split, then Warner Brothers then merged or bought, or whatever, you, I can't remember exactly what happened. There's Discovery, and that's where David Zaslav ended up as the CEO of Warner Brothers Discovery. So let's that's the backstory to all of that.
Hmm.
So when Michael says David Zaslav, he inherited some problems, yes, he did. He inherited a mess, and he has done the best because when they left and that company was spin off, I think they took on about 50 billion dollars in debt. I can't, let me look, but they took on some debt that they have tried to pay down, which that caused, and David Zaslav comes from a content driven company that is more reality based. He has not been in charge of a movie studio, a television studio that is drama and scripted driven. He comes from, make some bullshit for cheap, throw it on TV. He comes from the TLC. He comes from Bravo. He comes from that world. whereas HBO is the prestige. It's not TV, it's HBO. And he's been in charge of that. And like Michael says, he has not done the best job. However, Michael Zaslav,
Hmm.
like, comment, and subscribe. If you would like to talk about the business, we'll be happy to talk with you about it. And we'll be very fair. But I say this to say I am not going to be as kind or as, what's the word I'm looking for? Tempered as Michael is. I think this is terrible. I think this is the worst. I think this is the worst thing ever if this happens. I am raising the alarm right now that this should not happen. This is
Okay.
this is work when I me and Michael talked and we talked about the Activision Blizzard deal with Microsoft. I think this is 17 times worse than that.
Okay.
If this is to happen, this is the beginning of Alien Earth when you talk about five mega companies, and this is the beginning of the Wayland Utani shit. They are going to import xenomorphs into this planet if this deal comes to pass. Because Larry Ellison, who is friendly with the Trump administration, this is, like Michael said, this is a possibility of happening when other administrations would, because of the antitrust, the conflict of interest, would shoot this down. But this is an opportunity within the 4 years of the Trump administration, if it's only 4 years, that they could get this done. This merger would merge not only CBS, but would also have CNN and all the broadcast channels that comes with this merger. This would the and keep in mind, Paramount does not have a ton of recognizable IP. They have some, but not to this extent of what Warner Brothers houses.
Hmm.
So if you look at right now, let's look at Paramount's IP just off the top. Transformers, Mission Impossible, and Star Trek. That's the film properties. There are more, but Mission Impossible, after Dead Reckoning, is probably over. So you still have
It's
Scott.
never over.
Hold on. It's probably over with Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise is moving on. So that IP,
Moving on to what? Tropical Thunder 3?
nope. He's moving on to the Gauntlet with Joseph Kaczynski. Deeper with who's the woman who did the ballerina?
Ana
Uh,
de Armas?
yes, Ana de Armas. He's looking to get that shopped. So Tom Cruise has a couple of things on the fryer, so he's not coming back to Mission Impossible. They are looking at doing a sequel to Top Gun Maverick at Skydance, but that's the film franchise. Weigh that against the Warner Brothers library when it comes to films. They don't compare. Warner Brothers owns the Warner Brothers DC universe. Warner Brothers owns the Harry Potter universe. That's two massive franchises that dwarfs anything Paramount has. You look at television, HBO, Warner Brothers Max owns Friends, John Oliver, um, what's old boy's name, Bill Maher. They do a very good job with documentaries, comedy specials. Uh, I'm going to HBO Max right now. They want that catalog. That is a very good catalog to have,
Sure.
and they feel that this is a very good chance of buying it. If I buy all of these companies outright before an Amazon or an Apple tries to get it, because I see if they split the companies, HBO and the Warner Brothers, and then that global company, everything that HBO does on their HBO Max would look great next to Apple Plus. Apple Plus is TV. When you think of television shows, think about what HBO does just television wise. The studio. I'm sorry, Apple does the studio.
Hmm.
That's something we could easily see on HBO. HBO does The Outsider, White Lotus, um, Last of Us, Task just came out, Peacemaker, Penguin, The Right Time with Bill Maher. Let's look at the top 10 series today. Peacemaker's number one, Task, Rick and Morty, um, not Happily Ever After, fuck that. Last Week Tonight, Mayor of Easttown, excellent show. Um, then you look at the movies that they have. Um, right now, Warfare just premiered. You have Civil War. You have uh, the
Are the
entire.
ones that you're naming with the movies, are these the ones that are owned by Warner Brothers, or they
Yes.
just have the rights to show them
Well,
right now?
Warner Brothers has the right to show the A24 movies, and then
Okay.
they have their own movies that they've produced that they've put on there. But you're after the catalog,
Hmm.
is what you're after, and you're after CNN because this move is not a. You're after the catalog, but you're also after power because right now we have seen a concerted effort by the Trump administration with his allies to deliberify mainstream media. And we have seen this time and time again. And this is a ploy to change what we see on television. And if you can control what you see on television, you can control a population. So that's where I'm coming from this as this is a bad deal, not just in the sense of laying people off, consolidation of power, but this is also a way to change the hearts and minds of a populace because if you can control what gets on TV, you can control what people think. I can honestly say I learned about LGBTQ issues by watching Nip Tuck. I
Hmm.
will always be thankful for Ryan Murphy to introducing me to themes, sexual identity through Nip Tuck. If you are able to control a network to no longer have that be put on TV, you can control what people think. If you can control a news agency in CBS or CNN, you can control a narrative. You deal with that every day at work when you guys have these afternoon and morning meetings about what we're going to show on television. Now, if you have a mandate from a corporate executives that we're going to cover the news in this way, you then control the flow of information and what people think. And I
Hmm.
think that's what's going on with this deal, along with the content. When you look at what Paramount Skydance has when it comes to television, yes, you have the Tyler Sheridan universe, you have the Yellowstone, you have all of that. Landman. What's the other show that I told you to watch? Lioness, which awesome show, great show. I haven't seen season 2 yet, but great show. But you don't have the prestige television that every year gets nominated for Emmys.
Hmm.
HBO Max with Chernobyl, with The Last of Us, excuse me, Game of Thrones, White Lotus. You don't. So you need something to bolster that lineup and that catalog when you have a streaming service. And that puts you in the running to compete with a Disney, an Amazon. But I think this is a bad deal. I think this is a bad idea. But what do I know?
You're just a guy that managed a comic book store.
I never managed the comic book store. I just worked there.
Yeah, that's what
Uh,
all great managers say.
I was
They
not a
never
great.
manage a place. They just work
I
there.
was not a manager. I I don't even know how to respond to that. But anyway, so yeah, that's so they said a bid could come in as early as next week Wednesday. Look for Um, look for this to happen. Right now, like we said, this could actually happen. And if it happens, it definitely changes the media landscape as you know it. It changes what ends up in movie theaters. It changes how you consume streaming because, again, how you view sports, how you view movies, documentaries, this all changes depends on who owns these things. Because we've seen how newspapers have dealt with this by being bought up, sold, traded, and when private equity came into, we're going to see this with news agencies and with media companies.
And with that,
I was going to say, do you think I'm crazy for my diatribe?
I think we have to let this play out and see where it goes.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, but if I end up being right, you heard it here first, because I told y'all that Microsoft, Activision, Blizzard deal was going to be terrible, and the layoffs keep happening, games keep getting canceled. But hey, Game Pass.
Yeah. Go play Silk Song right now.
Oh, that's right. It is on Game Pass, isn't it? You did say that.
Yep.
Yep. Yep.
Or go
So
relive your glory days and play EA Football 25. EA
yeah,
College Football 25.
I wasn't a football player. I don't have any glory days. I was a track person. So track and
Well,
baseball.
go run a 40 down the field and catch a
Yeah.
football.
So yeah. So with that being said, we're gonna wrap this up. Michael, what got you through the week? Um,
When this is out, hopefully I will have watched Ballerina because I never went to the movie theaters to see that. I wanted to, and I just never got around to it. Wendy ended up buying the 4K this week. It came in, so we're going to watch that.
oh really?
Hopefully I will have seen it by the time this goes up. Yeah, we'll
Okay.
watch it Saturday. Um, and I'll give you guys an update either live or the next live to tape that we do about. I'm working on Japanese pancakes. I got obsessed with them when we went to Japan. They're big, fluffy, delicious pancakes. I'm going to try and make some this Saturday. We'll see how it works.
Cool.
Yeah. What about you?
Um, I'm trying to see when this movie drops. Uh, nope. 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 Oh, Caught Stealing is out. Um, I'm still playing Dead Island 2. I thought it was Dead Island 2 that was messed up, but I played a different game and I realized my kids broke my controller, so I have to buy a new controller.
Gotta love it.
So I really enjoy the game. I'm trudging through it. I really enjoy it. But television wise, Alien Earth is the greatest thing ever. Really enjoying that. What else? I haven't started Dark Wolf, Terminal List the Dark Wolf yet with, but that dropped recently. Peacemaker. Oh my gosh. Also, if you want to know how Superman 2, when that comes out, Peacemaker will lead directly into that. So if you want to know the premise of what Superman 2 is going to be dealing with, Man of Tomorrow, you need to be watching Peacemaker because whatever happens in Peacemaker is going to affect Superman 2. Um, I was talking to some people, and one of the guys was like, I really didn't like John Cena because he seemed like a douche. And I was in Suicide Squad. I was like, yeah, he is a douche, but go back and watch Peacemaker season one and watch season two because John John Cena and Dave Batista are one and one A when it comes to wrestlers who are acting. And I think The Rock heard that, which is why he's in the Smashing Machine. Because he was like, I can't let these dudes top me. And John Cena is amazing in Peacemaker.
It is. I agree with that
I
wholeheartedly.
just finished. rewatching We Own the Night on HBO, which is the story about the Baltimore City Police Department after the Freddie Gray case. Um, Probably shouldn't have watched that. I really forgot what it was about when I started, and it's from David Simon and George Pelicanos, guys behind the wire, and probably shouldn't have watched it in this climate. But great show. Woomy, uh, what's her last name?
The woman from Loki.
Woomy Musaka. Musaka is in it. Once again, looking mwah, no notes. She's in it. John Barenthal, great performance. Um, a lot of people, if you watch The Wire, you'll recognize. So was watching that, and also me and the wife started watching Killing Eve.
Oh, you are in for a treat, sir. What a good show.
So I watched the first season,
Uh huh.
and I fell off after season two.
Mm,
She had no idea. So
that
we
is such a
started
good show.
watching,
Yeah.
and I am so Sandra O, personality wise, is my wife.
Hmm.
I am closer to Villanelle.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Sure. I see that.
So, with that being said, this is very interesting us watching this show together because I giggle at some of the stuff that Villanelle does. And she's very much Sandra Oh, like, oh, yeah, I can see that. And I'm like, she killed that dude, and it's funny. And she's like, there's something wrong with you, which leads into my last thing, and I'm going to wrap this up. K pop Demon Hunters, please go watch that. We have watched it. I introduced Evan to it one day, and he has been watching it. He is asked to watch it every day for 2 weeks.
It
It
made
is
a big splash in the movie theater when they released it to the movies.
we know all the songs.
Mm-hmm.
He knows who the Saja Boys is. I cannot tell you. Sony's animation division is get the only people I think is better than Sony's animation right now is Studio Ghibli. Not Pixar, not DreamWorks. Between that, Meet the Mitchells, and the Spider Verse, those four
Mm-hmm.
movies are the best animated movies I have seen in years. K-pop Demon Hunters, no notes, amazing. My son is in love with everything. Have you seen it yet?
No, I haven't. I want to. Maybe I'll watch that after Ballerina.
I'm going to tell you that movie is amazing. It is hilarious. It is warm. It is.
I've heard nothing but good things about it. Yeah,
I'm
and I know I
so.
would love the music. So
Here's the thing. You know how I feel about music and movies and musicals. If every musical was as good as this, musicals wouldn't have a problem.
okay.
Musicals, Oklahoma, Fiddler on the Roof, step your game up. Get as good as K-pop Demon Hunter, and
What a comment.
maybe you wouldn't have to get financing for your movies. Because I'm telling you right now, Huntrix don't need no help. Huntrix don't need no funding. I'm gonna tell you right now. I asked my son today, and I'm out on this. I said, buddy, who's a better singer, Rumi or Beyonce? And he said, Rumi.
And what did his mom say?
His mom said, that's your son.
Okay. I was like,
I
there's no
said,
way she allowed that in that house.
yes, he is. Because right now, and I will say this if Beyonce wants to make a splash, Heifer, do one of these songs. And I'm telling you, because K pop, woo! All I will say is how it's done. No notes. Netflix has a hit. Let me
Man.
tell you how good K-pop Demon Hunter is. You know me, right?
Hmm.
When I say this, how wild is this? I'm willing to do a family costume from K-pop Demon Hunter.
Wow. Nice.
Yeah. I'm willing, like, if my son is like, yo, I want to be this, and I'm like, look here, excuse my language, motherfuckers, we are going to be whatever. We're doing this. I'm willing to do a family costume off of this movie. That's how good this is. And I have been willing to do a family costume since I had a family.
Okay.
So, like, comment, and subscribe. Uh, it helps us out if you hit the like button, hit the notifications when we put up new videos whenever we get around to it. That's Michael. I'm Leroy, Ministry of Mistress. Peace.
Peace.